The blue lights of the monitoring stations flickered across Dr. Alan Hayes' tired face. 3 days of the same routine, checking signals, analyzing data, finding nothing unusual. Until now, a pattern emerged on his screen, subtle but distinct from the cosmic background noise. "Hey, Diane, take a look at this," Alan called to his colleague across the room. Dr. Diane Wells pushed away from her desk, coffee in hand, and walked over. She squinted at the screen. "What am I looking at?" "This signal. It's repeating." Alan pointed to the waveform displayed on his monitor. "Every 37 seconds. Exactly the same pattern." Diane set her coffee down. "Natural phenomena don't usually behave like that." "Exactly." Alan pulled up another screen showing the pattern broken down into its component parts. "And look at this sequence. It's prime numbers. 1 pulse, then 2, then 3, 5, 7. Could be a pulsar with unusual characteristics," Diane suggested, but her voice lacked conviction. Alan shook his head. "Pulsars don't broadcast prime numbers. This is structured, intentional." The NASA Deep Space Monitoring Facility in Nevada wasn't equipped to handle first contact protocols. Alan's hands trembled slightly as he reached for the secure phone line. Within an hour, the facility director arrived, followed by representatives from various government agencies. "We've triple-checked the signal," Alan explained to the assembled group. "It's definitely not natural and not from Earth. The transmission contains mathematical sequences that suggest intelligence." The facility became a hive of activity. More scientists were called in. Military personnel established a security perimeter. News vans gathered outside the gates as rumors spread. 3 days later, cryptographers confirmed what Alan had suspected. The signal contained a message, a distress call. "The basics of the message are clear," explained Dr. Lydia Foster, head of the hastily assembled linguistics team. "They're stranded in our solar system. Their propulsion systems are damaged." "They? Who are they?" asked General Richard Morgan. "We don't know yet," Lydia admitted. "But they're not human, and they're not from Earth." The president authorized a response using similar mathematical patterns. The reply was simple. Humanity had received their message and was willing to help. The aliens' response came within hours. This time, the message contained visual data, schematics of their vessels, their location near the edge of our solar system, and crude images of themselves. "My God," whispered Alan as the images rendered on screen. "They're actually out there." The alien fleet consisted of over 300 vessels stranded in the Kuiper Belt. According to their communications, a solar flare had damaged their propulsion systems as they passed through our system. Without help, their life support would fail within months. A week after the initial signal detection, the president addressed the nation. "Fellow Americans, citizens of Earth, today I come before you with extraordinary news. We are not alone in the universe, and our neighbors need our help." The announcement sent shockwaves across the globe. Religious leaders debated the theological implications. Stock markets fluctuated wildly. Social media exploded with theories and reactions. Meanwhile, in a secure conference room, Captain Olivia Bennett received her assignment. "You've been selected to lead the rescue mission," Admiral Frank Peterson informed her. "We're assembling the best team on the planet. Engineers, linguists, biologists. Your assignment is to reach the alien fleet and render assistance." Olivia studied the mission brief, her expression serious. "How do we help an alien species fix technology we've never seen?" "That's why we're sending you," the Admiral replied. "You have a history of solving impossible problems." As Olivia left the briefing, she looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, an entire civilization waited, hoping humans would save them from extinction. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin. The sleek communications center at NASA headquarters buzzed with activity as scientists worked around the clock. After 3 weeks of back-and-forth messages with the alien fleet, they had established a basic understanding. Earth's mathematicians had created a shared numerical system, while linguists developed a primitive visual language. "We've received new data packets," announced Dr. Peter Martinez, sliding a tablet across the table to Captain Olivia Bennett. "They call themselves the Crixians." Olivia studied the images. The aliens appeared crystalline in structure, with 6 limbs and bodies that seemed to shimmer with internal light. Their vessels were massive, each housing approximately 15,000 individuals. According to their star charts, they're migrating to a system about 40 light-years away, Peter explained. "They were just passing through our solar system when a solar flare damaged their propulsion systems." General Morgan leaned forward. "Do we trust them?" Dr. Diane Wells, who had been analyzing their communications patterns, spoke up. "All evidence suggests they're being truthful. Their messages show consistent internal logic. If they meant us harm, hiding in the Kuiper Belt would be a terrible strategy." The president's science advisor nodded. "Plus, if they had hostile intent, they have technology far beyond ours. They could have reached Earth already." 3 days later, the United Nations Security Council approved an international rescue mission. Countries pooled resources and expertise. Russia provided advanced propulsion systems, Japan contributed navigation technology, and the European Space Agency offered their newest life support systems. NASA retrofitted 3 experimental deep space vessels for the mission: the Horizon, the Endeavour, and the Discovery. Each ship underwent rapid modifications to accommodate the specialized equipment needed for the rescue operation. Captain Bennett assembled her team with care. Besides Dr. Martinez for communications, she selected Commander Jack Wilson, NASA's top spacecraft engineer, Dr. Laura Murphy, the leading exobiologist, and Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez, whose work on experimental propulsion systems had revolutionized space travel. "This isn't just about saving them," Olivia told her crew during their first briefing. "This is humanity's introduction to the galaxy. The impression we make will affect our species' future." Public reaction to the news varied wildly. Religious groups held prayer vigils. Scientists celebrated. Conspiracy theorists warned of invasion. Across the globe, telescope sales skyrocketed as people stared skyward, hoping to glimpse the distant visitors. 2 weeks before launch, the Crixians sent detailed information about their biology. Their bodies processed energy directly from radiation, with no need for food as humans understood it. They communicated primarily through light patterns emitted from their crystalline structures. "They're nothing like us," Dr. Murphy explained during a press conference. "Their biology is silicon-based rather than carbon-based. They perceive different wavelengths of light. They process information differently." The day of the launch arrived with clear skies. Millions watched worldwide as the 3 ships lifted off in succession. Captain Bennett sat in the command chair of the Horizon, monitoring systems as Earth shrank behind them. "Course set for Kuiper Belt coordinates," reported the navigation officer. "Estimated travel time: 23 days." During the journey, the crew continued studying Crixian language and technology. They transmitted regular updates to Earth and received increasingly complex information from the alien fleet. On day 12, they received visual communication directly from the Crixian fleet commander, the crystalline being pulsed with blue and green light as its message was translated on screen. "Gratitude extends from the collective. Your journey brings hope to our people. We await your arrival with what humans might call anticipation." As the Earth ships approached the edge of the solar system, long-range scanners detected the massive alien fleet. Hundreds of enormous vessels clustered together, their once gleaming hulls now damaged and dark. "My God," whispered Olivia as the first visual appeared on screen. "There are so many of them." The Crixian ships dwarfed their human counterparts. The rescue mission suddenly felt impossibly small against the enormity of the task ahead. But humanity had committed to this path. First contact was about to become first meeting. The United Nations named the rescue effort Operation Stellar Harbor, reflecting humanity's role as a safe port for the stranded aliens. Representatives from 17 countries gathered in a converted aircraft hangar to coordinate the mission. Maps, diagrams, and screens covered every wall, displaying information about the Crixian fleet. "The technical challenges are immense," explained Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez, pointing to schematics of the alien vessels. "Their propulsion systems use principles we've only theorized about. It's like asking people from the 1800s to fix a nuclear submarine." Captain Olivia Bennett studied the room. Her team members came from diverse backgrounds: scientists, military personnel, engineers, and even a few diplomats. Dr. Peter Martinez had barely slept in days, working to refine the translation algorithms. Commander Jack Wilson spent hours examining the limited data on Crixian technology. Dr. Laura Murphy prepared for the first biological contact with an alien species. "We have 3 objectives," Olivia announced to the assembled team. "First, establish direct communication. Second, assess their technical needs. Third, develop solutions using our available resources. Remember, we represent all of humanity now." Outside the facility, public opinion remained divided. Some religious groups declared the aliens angels or demons. Scientists published papers based on the limited data available. Conspiracy theories flourished online. Military forces around the world went on high alert, just in case. President Martins addressed these concerns in a televised speech. "We understand the fear of the unknown. But throughout history, helping those in need has defined our best moments as a species. We choose to help not because it's easy, but because it's right." Meanwhile, preparations continued. Engineers modified Earth's technology to be compatible with alien systems. Biologists created protected environments for potential face-to-face meetings. Psychologists developed protocols for human-alien interactions. The Crixians have shared more details about their situation. Dr. Martins reported during the morning briefing. "Their life support systems can recycle essential elements, but energy reserves are depleting. Several ships already have critical failures. They estimate complete system failure within 87 Earth days." The pressure mounted as launch day approached. Equipment failures and technical setbacks threatened the timeline. During one test, a communication array exploded, injuring 2 technicians. Safety concerns prompted calls to delay the mission. "We don't have time for delays," Olivia argued during an emergency meeting. "Every day we wait, more Crixians die." The night before launch, Olivia couldn't sleep. She wandered to the observation deck and gazed at the stars. Chief Engineer Rodriguez found her there, also restless. "Nervous about tomorrow?" he asked. "I'm worried we're missing something obvious," she admitted. "What if we can't help them? What if we make things worse?" Sam nodded. "My grandfather was a mechanic. He always said when you're fixing something completely new, you'll make mistakes. But that's how you learn. We can't afford mistakes with 15 million lives at stake." "True," Sam agreed. "But remember, the Crixians wouldn't have asked for help if they had better options. They believe in us. Maybe we should too." Launch day arrived with clear skies. The 3 ships stood ready on their pads, loaded with equipment, supplies, and hope. Crew members said final goodbyes to families. News cameras captured every moment for the billions watching worldwide. Inside the Horizon's command center, Olivia strapped into her seat. Her crew performed final checks with practiced efficiency. "All systems go," reported Commander Wilson. "Communication systems online," confirmed Dr. Martinez. "Medical and biological containment verified," added Dr. Murphy. "Engines at full capacity," finished Chief Rodriguez. Olivia took a deep breath and opened the channel to Mission Control. "Operation Stellar Harbor is ready for launch." As countdown commenced, she thought about the aliens waiting in the darkness beyond Earth's orbit. An entire civilization depended on this mission's success. Humanity's first major act on the galactic stage would be one of compassion, reaching across the stars to help strangers in need. The engines ignited, and humanity's greatest adventure began with fire and thunder. The 3 Earth vessels, Horizon, Endeavor, and discovery, pushed deeper into space than any human-crewed ships had gone before. Captain Olivia Bennett spent hours each day in the observation deck, watching stars streak by as they accelerated to speeds that would have seemed impossible just years ago. "Captain," called Dr. Martins over the intercom on the 7th day of their journey, "the Crixians have sent new information. I think you'll want to see this." In the communications lab, Martinez displayed a series of images on the main screen. They're sharing details about their society. This appears to be their home system. The images showed a binary star system with 12 planets. The third planet glowed with blue oceans and white clouds, not unlike Earth. But subsequent images revealed devastating environmental changes, massive storms, dried oceans, and darkened continents. "They're refugees," Martinez explained. "Their star became unstable. They evacuated their entire civilization. 15 million beings on 300 ships. They've been traveling for what converts to about 17 Earth years." Commander Wilson studied the ship designs with professional interest. "Their technology is remarkable. Those vessels were built to travel between stars without stopping. If we can help them repair their systems, they might actually complete their journey." Life aboard the rescue fleet fell into a rhythm. Each morning began with status reports and new messages from the Crixians. The aliens sent information about their biology, technology, and culture. In return, the human crew shared details about Earth. "They seem fascinated by our diversity," Dr. Murphy noted during a meal. "Their species evolved in a more uniform environment." The idea of thousands of languages and cultures on one planet surprised them. The crew worked continuously to prepare for the actual repair mission. Engineers practiced with simulated Crixian technology. Scientists studied the aliens' crystalline biology. Communication specialists refined translation algorithms. On day 16, they passed Neptune's orbit. The distant blue planet served as a milestone. Beyond this point lay truly uncharted territory for human exploration. "We're receiving stronger signals now," reported the communications officer on day 19. "The Crixian fleet has activated their emergency beacons to guide us." 2 days later, long-range sensors detected the fleet. The Crixian vessels appeared as distant points of light at first, growing larger as Earth's ships approached. "My God," whispered Commander Wilson as the first clear images appeared on screen. "They're enormous." The alien ships dwarfed their human counterparts. Each Crixian vessel stretched nearly 2 miles long, with crystalline structures extending from central cores. Some showed visible damage, dark sections where energy systems had failed. As they approached, the translation system activated with a direct message from the Crixian leadership. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We witness your approach with hope. Many believed no help would come. Some vessels now function at minimal capacity. Your journey honors us." Captain Bennett authorized the first video transmission to the Crixian fleet. She stood before the camera, her uniform pressed and her expression composed despite her racing heart. "This is Captain Olivia Bennett of Earth's rescue mission. We come in peace and friendship to offer whatever assistance we can provide." The response came quickly, a visual transmission showing a Crixian for the first time. The beam pulsed with internal light, its crystalline body refracting colors as it moved. 6 limbs extended from a central core that glowed with blue-green energy. The translation system converted its light patterns to speech. "I am Coordinator Seleth of the Migration Fleet. Your arrival brings great joy to our people. Some of our youngest members have never encountered another species. Your willingness to help strangers from the stars speaks well of your kind." That night, few crew members slept. They gathered in viewing areas, watching as they drew closer to the massive alien fleet. The reality of their mission finally sank in. They were about to make history. First contact. First rescue. First step into a larger universe. By morning, Earth's vessels had reached the outer edge of the Crixian fleet. The real work was about to begin. Captain Bennett addressed her crew one final time before docking operations. "Remember your training. but also remember why we're here. This isn't just about saving lives. It's about showing who humans are at our best. The Horizon docked with the Crixian flagship, a massive crystalline vessel named Luminance by its crew. Engineers created an adaptable airlock between the ships, allowing teams to move between them while maintaining separate atmospheres. The Crixians required much higher radiation levels and different atmospheric composition than humans could tolerate. Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez led the first technical assessment team. Wearing specialized radiation suits, they entered the alien vessel through the sealed corridor. The interior of the Crixian ship glowed with soft blue light emanating from the walls themselves. "It's like walking inside a living organism," Sam whispered, his voice carrying through the comm system to his team and back to the Horizon. 3 Crixians waited at the inner doorway, their bodies pulsed with patterns of light that the translation devices interpreted as formal greetings. The tallest Crixian introduced itself as Engineer Kilani. "We express gratitude for your journey," Kilani's lights translated. "Our propulsion systems fail beyond our ability to restore." Sam nodded, adjusting to the strange sensation of communicating through the translator. "We're here to help. Can you show us the main engine systems?" The Crixians led them through corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. The architecture followed no human logic. Spaces opened unexpectedly into vast chambers, then narrowed into tight passages. The engine room stretched before them, a cathedral of crystal and light. At its center stood a dark mass where once brilliant energy had flowed. Various Crixian engineers moved around the dead core, their lights dimmed with what the humans interpreted as concern. "This is the quantum fold generator," explained Kilani. "It creates space-time distortion for faster-than-light travel. Solar radiation penetrated our shields and disrupted the particle alignment." Sam studied the schematics displayed on his tablet, comparing them to the actual system before him. The technology operated on principles Earth scientists had only theorized about. "The problem is compatibility," Sam reported to Captain Bennett later that day. "Their systems use exotic particles we've never worked with. We can't just hook up our generators to their engines." Dr. Martinez, who had been observing Crixian communication patterns, offered an insight. "Their entire species communicates through light. Their technology seems to follow the same principle: energy converted to specific frequencies. Like a language of light," mused Olivia. For 3 days, human engineers studied the alien propulsion systems without a breakthrough. The Crixians grew visibly dimmer as their energy reserves continued to deplete. Time was running out. On the 4th day, Sam Rodriguez couldn't sleep. He wandered to the observation deck, staring at the crystalline ships surrounding them. The way the starlight reflected off their surfaces triggered something in his mind. "We're thinking about this all wrong," he announced at the morning briefing. "We've been trying to adapt our technology to theirs. But what if we created a new system entirely?" His proposal was radical: use Earth's fusion generators to create specific light frequencies that the Crixian systems could absorb and convert. "It's like building a translation device for energy instead of language," he explained, sketching rapidly on a digital pad. "We can't speak their technological language, but we can create an interpreter." The Crixian engineers seemed skeptical when the idea was presented. Such an approach had never been attempted in their long history of space travel. "Your species thinks differently," Coordinator Seleth observed. "This approach defies conventional methods. Humans are adaptable." Olivia replied, "It's our greatest strength." Work began immediately. Human and Crixian engineers collaborated, creating a hybrid system that converted Earth's fusion energy into forms the alien ships could process. The Endeavour and Discovery distributed their fusion generators among the fleet, focusing on vessels with the most critical failures. After a week of non-stop work, they were ready for the first test. Sam Rodriguez stood in the engine room of the Luminance, his hand hovering over the activation control. Crixian engineers surrounded him, their bodies pulsing with nervous light patterns. "Here goes everything," Sam muttered, and pressed the control. The hybrid system hummed to life. Energy flowed through the conversion matrix, transforming into the precise frequencies needed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the central core of the Crixian engine began to glow. Dim at first, then with increasing brightness, the quantum fold generator reactivated. The success with the Luminance's engines spread hope throughout both human and Crixian crews. Teams worked tirelessly to implement the hybrid energy solution across the fleet. 27 ships had their systems restored in just 4 days. The pace was good, but not fast enough. Dozens of vessels remained in critical condition. Dr. Laura Murphy monitored the radiation levels around the fleet. She frowned at the readings on her tablet as she entered the Horizon's command center. "Captain, we have a problem," she announced, displaying the data on the main screen. "Solar activity is increasing dramatically. A massive storm is forming." Olivia studied the projected path. "How bad?" "Potentially worse than the flare that damaged their fleet initially. The radiation surge could disrupt repairs and damage systems we've already fixed." Commander Wilson ran calculations quickly. "At current projections, we have less than 18 hours before it hits us." Olivia called an emergency meeting with the Crixian leadership. Coordinator Selith's crystalline form pulsed with concerned patterns as the situation was explained. "Our functional ships could move to the shadow of one of your outer planets," Selith suggested. "But many vessels lack even minimal propulsion. They cannot relocate." "What about your shielding technology?" asked Commander Wilson. "Could we reinforce it?" "Our shields failed against a smaller storm," replied Kilani. "This one will certainly penetrate our weakened defenses." The human crew proposed various solutions, each dismissed as impractical given the time frame. The storm would arrive before they could implement any large-scale protection. Captain Bennett stared at the fleet diagram, her mind racing. Finally, she spoke. "What if we position our 3 ships as shields?" The room fell silent. "The Earth vessels have advanced radiation shielding," she continued. "We could place them strategically between the storm and the most vulnerable Crixian ships. Your vessels are too small to shield our largest ships," Kilani pointed out. "Not the entire ships," Olivia clarified. "Just their critical systems, the cores and life support centers. We have the schematics. We can position ourselves precisely." Sam Rodriguez ran the numbers. "It could work, but our shields would be pushed beyond their design limits. We'd likely sustain damage." "Will the ships survive?" Olivia asked. "Probably. The crews might absorb dangerous radiation levels, though." The Crixians' lights flickered rapidly, their version of concern murmuring. Coordinator Selith addressed Captain Bennett directly. "You would risk your vessels and crews to protect strangers." "That's why we came," Olivia replied simply. As the storm approached, repair teams worked frantically to prepare as many ships as possible. The Earth vessels took position, Horizon guarding the Luminance and 5 critical ships, Endeavor protecting a cluster of vessels with failing life support, and Discovery shielding ships that housed Crixian children. 6 hours before impact, radiation levels began to rise. Captain Bennett ordered non-essential personnel to the shielded cores of each Earth ship. Skeletal crews remained at their stations, monitoring systems, and maintaining position. "Storm front approaching," reported the science officer on Horizon. "Radiation levels at 300% of normal and climbing." The first waves hit like physical blows. The Horizon shuddered as its shields absorbed the radiation assault. Warning lights flashed across control panels. On the view screens, they watched spectacular energy discharges ripple across space. "Shield generators at 120% capacity," called out Commander Wilson. "They can't take this for long." Inside the Crixian vessels, engineers worked desperately to restore systems damaged by the radiation. Human technicians who had volunteered to remain aboard alien ships reported increasing symptoms of radiation exposure, but refused to abandon their posts. On the Endeavor, a shield generator exploded, injuring 3 crew members. Captain Devon Hardy ordered emergency repairs while maintaining position. "We can't move," he told his crew. Millions of lives depend on us holding this line. The Discovery reported cooling system failures as radiation overheated their shield generators. Chief Engineer Maria Lopes entered a high radiation zone manually to bypass damaged circuits, knowing the exposure would likely cause severe health problems. Hour after hour, the storm raged around them. The human ship's hulls grew hot with absorbed energy. Medical teams treated increasing numbers of radiation injuries. In the Horizon's command center, Captain Bennett received reports from across the fleet. Despite the protection offered by the Earth ships, 5 Crixian vessels had lost life support. Their crystalline inhabitants were fading, their internal light dimming. The solar storm finally subsided after 27 hours of relentless radiation bombardment. The 3 Earth vessels had held their positions despite massive damage to their external systems. The Horizon's hull glowed faintly from absorbed radiation, parts of its outer plating warped and discolored. Inside the ship's medical bay, Dr. Laura Murphy treated crew members suffering from radiation exposure. Captain Olivia Bennett visited each patient, thanking them personally for their courage. "The final tally, Doctor?" Olivia asked quietly. 38 crew members with radiation poisoning across our 3 ships, Laura reported. Most will recover with treatment. 7 cases are severe, but no fatalities. Olivia nodded gravely. And the Crixians? They lost 3 ships before we could establish protective positions, approximately 12,000 individuals, but the remainder of the fleet survived. The captain stepped to the viewport, looking out at the vast alien armada surrounding them. "Begin damage assessment immediately. We need to complete repairs and get these people on their way." Over the next 2 days, human and Crixian teams worked together to evaluate the storm's impact. Despite the losses, the news was better than expected. The hybrid propulsion solutions had proven surprisingly resilient. Most ships required only minor adjustments to resume their journey. On the 3rd day after the storm, Coordinator Seleth requested a formal meeting with all human mission leaders aboard the Luminance. The Crixian flagship had transformed its central chamber into a space suitable for both species. The walls pulsed with gentle light that somehow conveyed a feeling of solemnity and gratitude. Captain Bennett led her team into the chamber, where the Crixian Council waited. 12 crystalline beings arranged in a circle, their bodies glowing with intense blue-white light. Seleth's form brightened as Olivia approached. "Captain Bennett of Earth, the Council has convened to formally recognize what your people have done for ours." The translator converted the complex light patterns into words, but even without it, the emotion behind the message was clear in the brilliant illumination filling the room. "Our species has traveled for many cycles," Seleth continued. "We have encountered 15 different civilizations in our journey. None have shown the courage, creativity, and selflessness that humans have demonstrated." Another council member pulsed forward. "We have renamed our fleet in your honor. We are now the Harbored, those who found safety when there seemed to be none. This name will remain with us to our new home and for generations to come." Olivia bowed slightly. "We only did what anyone should do for those in need." "But they do not," replied Seleth. "Many species we encountered feared us, ignored us, or sought to exploit our vulnerability. You alone chose to risk yourselves for strangers." The Council's lights synchronized in a formal pattern. "We offer exchange, knowledge, technology, friendship." Chief Engineer Rodriguez couldn't hide his excitement at the prospect of learning more about Crixian science. Dr. Martinez was equally enthusiastic about continued cultural exchange. "We gratefully accept," Olivia responded. "Earth would be honored to establish ongoing relations with your people." Seleth moved closer, its crystalline form towering over the human captain. "Beyond this, we offer something more valuable. There exists a community of spacefaring civilizations, species who have achieved interstellar travel and maintain communication across vast distances. We will share their coordinates and recommend Earth for inclusion." The implications were enormous. Humanity wouldn't be taking its first steps into a cold, empty universe, but joining an existing community of intelligent species. 2 weeks later, repairs were complete. The Crixian fleet prepared for departure, their engines now humming with the hybrid energy systems created through human-Crixian cooperation. Earth's 3 vessels lined up to escort them to the edge of the solar system. From there, the aliens would activate their faster-than-light drives and continue their long journey to their new home. Captain Bennett stood on the horizon's observation deck, watching as ship after ship lit up with brilliant energy. Coordinator Sullett's final message displayed on her personal communicator.